Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. Chad Hyams here, Bob Stewart over there. Bob, how are you doing today?
Well, Chad, I failed. Can I just tell you
again?
I failed. Well, look, we are in our series here.
Yep.
Right. We are, and we're in part 3 or the third kind of element here, which is the who shift. Chad,
correct.
Going
Yes.
from, and I meant to find some leverage to replace me on this podcast, but I failed, and so I'm still here. Is that what we're talking about? Or?
Wait, your leverage on this podcast is you just don't show up and leave it to me. So you've got that one mastered. If our audience,
that's on the interviews. When we do an episode together, if I don't show up, then you're all by yourself, and
I
then
get to monologue.
Bad. I do feel
that's
bad.
right. The audience finally gets an episode where I get to monologue. Folks, you don't want that. Yet if you do want me monologuing, check out the Achieve Your Apex podcast.
Ooh.
7 to 10 minute long episodes where I take you through my book, Achieve Your Apex, and more stuff. I've actually finished the book. We're on to new and exciting things.
Chad, I think
Yes.
I could handle you all by yourself for 7 to 10 minutes. If we tried to pump out a Win, Make, Give 30 minutes with Chad all by himself, I don't know if I could make it.
You're not going to listen to that one. And the subject would be why Bob Stewart sucks, right? And that would be what I would be talking about. I could go on for a half hour easy on that topic. And we say it from love. We love you,
I'd have
Bob.
to call you really aggressively angry and threaten you to a pickleball match or something.
Bring it on. I'm wearing a pickleball shirt right now. All right. Bob Stewart,
like I already knew that about you. Okay, I know.
that I'm wearing a pickleball shirt.
I didn't know you were wearing it today, but I knew when you moved to Florida that a pickleball T-shirt was in your near future.
Yeah, there are a few in the closet. Just like Bob has the same hoodie again and again and again. Chad now has pickleball shirts. Mine just come in different colors.
It's probably been a good 5 years since when was the last time we sat in a room together? I didn't necessarily every time we went to Bellingham, but it's probably been 5 years since you've seen me in anything other than a black hoodie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe when you picked me up at the airport once, the last time I was up there when we did the wealth series. Folks, check it out, winmakegive.com/wealth. I just got my daughter to finally start listening to it. She's finally got to that point in her life where I'm like, good, listen, right? It'll make the difference. I wish I was 24 years old and somebody played the wealth series for me. Now, we are taking you through now what we call the mindset shifts that scale series. That's what we're kind of going through here. Bob, the first one, we talked about going from scarcity to abundance, specifically with wealth as kind of the conversation, although we did talk about it in other areas of our life. Then last episode of the series, we talked about going from busy to being intentional, right? Being on purpose, being intentional. We called that our energy shift. And we talked about that in, again, lots of areas of our life where we find ourselves busy, not being intentional about where we're putting it. Today, you already told everybody, we're talking about the who shift, which is that control versus collaboration. Now, Bob, if control and collaboration was one of those, chart, 0 in the middle is the perfect balance, and then it's 10 to the left for control, 10 to the right for collaboration, where would you put yourself as a person on that chart? Are you a little towards the controlling side, or are you way towards the collaboration side in there?
Man, I would say that it wouldn't be a line. It'd be more like a circle, because there's like some areas of my life where I'm totally fine and good being
like where?
Like in running our household. I'm totally good and fine in a collaborative mode where my wife is kind of in charge of that, and I'm showing up to collaborate with her on whatever she thinks is like the most important thing to get done at a given time. Right?
Okay.
I don't.
Where are you very high on the controlling chart?
I would say I'm high on the controlling chart as it relates to, and I want to try to word this like our boys outside of the house. And the reason I say that is because like we're raising our children together in the house, but when I go out with them and boys who become men leave the house, like there's a certain way we carry ourselves in public that I want my children to know and learn. And it's things like, shaking hands and eye contact when we meet people and introducing ourselves, not in a meek manner, but like so these things. And my wife has some, but I'm very like controlling about how I want my boys to be out showing up in public. So like in that particular lane of my life, I'm not doing a bunch of collaboration. I'm not looking, probably to my detriment, by the way, like my wife could absolutely add, a flavor to raising the boys outside of the house that would be impactful. And so do I need more kind of collaboration there? Yeah. But I don't know. So that's just the first thing that pops into my head, Chad, where I'm like really kind of controlling about, how that happens or goes down.
Okay. And folks, Bob's bringing up a great point in there. We all need more collaboration always. That might include delegation. That might include just working with others. Any categories in your life that you're leaning towards that control side, that's what we're talking about today. That mindset shift that's going to help you scale at a huge level when you can get away from that extreme end of control. And Bob, a lot of our audience are in real estate related industries. We don't want to limit there. So please share the episode with your friends who are in every industry. Yet in sales specific, there are a lot of challenges of people who are very controlling about it's got to be done this way. It's got to be done right now. It's got to be done the way I want it. And it's very difficult to let go and lean and grow into that collaboration side.
So I don't know why I did this particular time, but when you asked me the question, I immediately went kind of to the family. Yep. And there's a work side of this too. And I think I'm super collaborative if the output of the content, so I work on a lot of content around here, right? If the output of the content is going to be evergreen and living out there, Chad, I'm much more willing to be collaborative on that thing than if the content itself is going to be live. I have a really hard time giving up like the presentation that's going to be live because I'm like, I don't know if they're going to do it. Like I'd want it done or like I would do it.
I've seen you go through that as you've had to give that to certain members of the team in certain situations where they're doing your presentation and then making it their own a little bit, and seen you go through the gripping to the relaxing.
I almost can't even, like in some cases, where along the way where it's like, okay, you're going to fly and I'm just going to be over here in the cockpit. That's just really hard for me. I want to step in when they don't say it the way I would have said it. I want to, and so I don't know, and I've probably been a bad leader in that because, I'm like, all right, they mostly got it. It makes my skin crawl to not be able to jump in and make them say exactly what I say. And so I'm just not even going to, like, you're good, go, which is not the best way either. Right. So I don't know. Folks, definitely some areas I'm willing to be like that. And some I'm just like, and there's probably a reason why. By the end of this
conversation today, here's what we want you to be able to do, audience. We want you to stop asking how questions and start asking who questions. Right? If you can stop asking, how am I going to do this? How does this get done? How does that happen? And start asking, who can help with this? Who can cover that? Who can take care of this? You've already got it. The shift has occurred. You are working your way from one end of that spectrum to the other end of that spectrum when you can turn how into who.
All right. I mean, so let's maybe start, Chad, we've started already, but let's as we keep going here, let's talk about why does control show up, right? Like why does it feel safe? And then maybe some of those reasons, we could kind of set the other side. Like, yes, well, let's start with, a lot of us are perfectionists or we believe that we achieve at a high level. Like a lot of people listening to this podcast, Chad, a lot of just entrepreneurs in general, right? Like have a very, high opinion of themselves is the wrong word, but we're very confident, right? We're confident. We think we, do it better than others, right? We're going to get it perfect. And those people, like, it's a struggle to let go, right? Because if I don't do it, it's not going to be done right. But
it's
a trap, Chad. It's a trap. Why is it a trap?
Okay, folks, here's the thing. We all think no one can do it as well as we can. Yet, here's the thing. Someone did it before you that probably didn't think you could do it as well as they can. And if they can do it at least 75% as well as you, let them do it. They will end up outperforming you at it because then you will give them the time. And look, Bob, if it takes me an hour to do something, I don't care what that is, build a widget. If it takes me an hour to do something and I give it to you to do and teach you and mentor you to do it, it might still take me a half hour to do with you. Yet I just bought back a half hour of my own time. And over time, I'm going to now only have 25 minutes next time with you, 20 minutes next time with you. Maybe it's down to 5 minutes with you because I always need to approve it at the end. Yet I've just bought back 55 minutes of my life. Folks, if someone can do it 75% as well as you, let them do it.
The funny thing is I'm sitting here saying like, I struggle to give up like the live presentations because I can't control it. Right. But you're right. Like Ben did this with me. Like he was like in the beginning, he was up there doing it. And then he was like, hey, you come do it with me. And so then I was up there with him. And then every once in a while he'd be like, I can't make it. You're going to go do it yourself. And I'd do it myself. And I probably did it 75, if even that. I probably did 50% as good as he did. Right. But and then he'd come back and we'd do it together. And then there was even a period of time where he would, and I'm sure this was hard for him, by the way, he would show up and he would not say anything, but he was there. And every once in a while I'd lean into him and be like, Ben, what are your thoughts on that thing or whatever? Right now I'm kind of controlling it and he's the sidekick. Like in the beginning he was controlling it and I was the sidekick, and now he doesn't show up at all. You know this.
Correct. and how many times,
by the way, he doesn't show up like for those things anymore because I'm there now.
He doesn't need to anymore. He's leveraged that. How many times have you and I been in the same room at a convention and he was supposed to do a presentation and he just said, you guys go do it, right? Mm-hmm. And got out of the way because we could do it 75% as well as him, which over time meant we'd do it better. Ben used to tell people, Chad teaches my stuff better than I do, right? Because I was able to get better at it, doing it again and again and again. Folks, we all believe if I don't do it, it won't be done right. Okay, unless you're a surgeon, right, saving my life, and there's a procedure only you could do, nothing is going to be life and death, right? Oh, the contract got filled out just a little wrong. As long as you didn't put some big giant loophole in it, right? Or that didn't get printed just right, or that shade of blue is, who cares, right? You have to start paying attention to not how, who, because that's what gives you time to grow, help them develop, and improve your world and your life. That's the mindset shift.
When we were kind of fleshing this episode out, we had, we'd kind of spotlighted the fact that when that's the way you operate, it creates bottlenecks and potentially like you burn out, right?
Yes.
I think there's it also creates massive risk in your business. So I'll give you an example. And I see this all the time I'm going to talk in my industry in real estate. And I know that not every single person that listens is in real estate, but a lot are. We see all the time, Chad, you've seen this before. It's like we have a team and there's a listing agent and and they do the listings. They go out on the listing presentations. They are the only one we send out because they're the listing agent.
I was that for a long time. Yep.
I've got 3 or 4 buyer's agents. But the reality is, so let's say that's the setup, right? Chad, you're one person and there's so many hours in a day. And even if it's Herculean, there's still a limit on how far you can go there. So there's capacity issues eventually.
Yes.
Right. Chad, you might ultimately be like, you know what? This is a lot of pressure on me. I'm burned out now, or I need a week off. And if you take a week off, that doesn't mean what? We don't land any listings that week. Yes, right. That is what that means. But I think the even more risky part there is, Chad, what if you get hit by a bus, man?
Yep.
What if you just decide, you know what? I did all the listings I'm ever going to do. I'm retiring on the beach. Like, I think the biggest is that risk, which Chad's likely not to get hit by a bus. But if he did, it would completely wreck the business, right?
Yeah. The team I was on, Bob, when I was selling at that time, I was a listing agent, yet they just had 6. Right? They had 6 listing agents. So next up as they went through it, if needed, it puts you in a situation, folks, though, the more you do yourself, the more limits you put on yourself, right? You only have, Bob said it, 24 hours in a day. So if you only have 24 hours in a day, you can only accomplish so much. Yet if Bob and I work together, now magically there's 48 hours in that same one day. Because there's your 24 and there's my 24. We can do so much more. Deloitte did a report. They did a study. 83%, Bob, of high growth companies said collaboration is a core leadership strategy. And 45% of low growth companies have that as a strategy. So folks, as soon as you can turn how into who and start leveraging and collaborating, you're immediately growing a business and giving yourself so many more opportunities. Let's talk about how collaboration multiplies things, Bob, not just ads.
I mean, I love this. And the first thing that I think about, Chad, is I don't have to have all the answers. Like, as I've looked at like some different points of growth in our
audience, I just want you to know Bob has hair. He just took his hat off for a moment and then immediately put it right back on because he knew what I was saying. Bob, you caught me off. I'm sorry. Back to what you were saying.
Grayer on the sides than when we met, Chad. I blame you for just all of this. All of this is your fault.
I can imagine that's why I'm bald now, Bob Stewart.
You did have hair when I met you. That's right. So I can remember some like periods of growth in the company, and there were times where I was a bottleneck, and I don't want this to sound this is going to sound really like pompous, but where like I was the one that had to either have the answer or go find the answer.
Yes, I remember those times.
There was, and look, this is just one of the more recent examples. There's been others. So if you worked with me before this, I'm sorry, but I can remember a very clear example of Zach, and he's moved on. He doesn't work with us, but like it was one of the first times. And again, there was other times previous where I was like, oh snap, this guy will go find the answer. He was curious, he was just always curious. Like, why is that like that? Like, how did this get this way? Why do we still do it like this? How did this break? Why did that happen? He was super curious. And once I realized like, oh, I got somebody in my world that could he could go find the answer. It was massively freeing, Chad. Like I can't tell you how much time it freed up for me because I had this guy that I could be like, hey man, we just got this thing. I don't know why it's happening. Like, think you could figure it out? And he would just go figure it out. Leadership isn't about having all the answers. Most of the time when somebody comes to me, I'm like, I don't know, let me go figure it out. When you're collaborating with other people and you have that confidence, they can do that too. I mean, every period of growth in our business, I think, has been correlated to like adding extra collaboration from individuals that just want to go get an answer, figure it out.
Right. It's no longer how do we do this? It's who do we need on the team to do that? Right. And folks, if you're the person who has to have all the answers, like Bob went through that realization, I've gone through that moment as well. You are the bottleneck for the company because, well, what if you're not available right now? What if you're on a vacation? What if you're in another meeting or just not available? How many times did you and I find ourselves, whether together or on our own, with Ben when he was still growing and he had to be the one with the answers, that everything had to stop because he had to be the one that had the answer. Then he got better and better at saying, wait, great leaders don't need the answer. They need to just ask the right questions and turn that how into the who. So it would get to a point where people just stopped asking him questions because they were empowered to go find the answer themselves, which leads us to that next point we were going to talk about, which is delegating is actually transactional, right? Bob, go do this. Bob, I need you to do this. That's transactional. I give to you, you come back and give me product. But enrolling people in a vision is transformational, right? So Ben always used the analogy, and many of us have stolen it from him. It's if I give you a potato, I want back French fries, right? Transactional. Yet when Ben then started to truly sell that vision to those people who were around him as he started growing it, he might have given me a potato and said he wanted fries. I put a burger with it, right? Because now we got to that next level where it was completely transformational. We bought into the vision and said, I'm not just going to give you potatoes that are French fries. I'm going to do this as well. And that's when he shifted from the hows to the who's. And as you say, every growth step you'll see, there was a who that came along that bought into that vision, which then transformed everything around them.
Yeah. I think, and I wouldn't include you and me in this, by the way, but I think one of the reasons Ben was able to get to that is he just was obsessed with surrounding himself with really smart people.
Oh,
right?
we're definitely not on that
Smart,
list.
motivated, vision oriented, gritty. Like he's done a great job with that. You know, as I close my eyes and I'm just like with Ross and Suzanne and Ellen and Stu, and obviously partnered with Chris, who's just one of the ultimate problem solvers that I've ever met.
I remember when Dave Wiggs joined the organization and Ben was like, yeah, I don't know what he's doing yet we'll figure it out for him.
Constantly.
Look what he's doing now, right? Because it went from how to who. Good leaders don't have to have the answers. They have to ask the questions and find the right people who, like you said, are willing to go find the answers themselves. Don't bring me a problem. Bring me 2 solutions. That
David's
was always something a good leader said.
David's such a great example. You said Wiggs. David Wiggs is such a great example of like a multiplier by bringing in somebody to collaborate with. Like you said, and Ben does this all the time, by the way. Like he used nowadays, if he's looking to bring somebody kind of in the, you know, the upper echelon of the company in, he'll run them past a lot of us. And Josiah and I constantly get kind of teamed up on the tech side. So we get to show him the tech, and, you know, he'll be like, hey, I want you guys to meet with this person. And our obvious natural next question is, okay, like, where are you thinking about slotting them in at? And he's like, I don't know. And I don't even know why we ask anymore, because the answer is always, I don't know. I just think they're a talented human that we'd love to collaborate with. So like, just get to know them and make sure there's not any red flags in there. And you know, we kind of have a process now for that. But yeah, just surround yourself with the who. None of this stuff matters if the who's aren't, you know, more talented than you or equally as talented as you, I guess.
Which leads to the one of Warren Buffett's many well quoted, right? Surround yourself with people who are better than you and then get out of their way. Right? That's how you're going to grow. That's what's going to make things better for you. All right, Bob, specifically, we want to get away from how questions and get into who questions, right? So how do I market this? How do I set up this system? How do I do blah, 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 insert blank, right? Change that. Who do I know that understands marketing at a high level, right? Who is great at that? And Bob, I will tell you, ChatGPT is great at that, right? Think about sometimes the who is what's the right prompt to tell ChatGPT who they are to be able to provide the feedback that you need and be able to help you. Yes, we're not replacing people with AI, yet some of the small challenges, that is a strong way to get a quick answer while you're looking for those who's. Bob, we need to ask who questions. I talk about the question ladder and achieve your apex. Who is the ultimate question to ask?
I was looking for something here, and so you ended that thought a little bit quicker than I thought you would end it, and so I was like stuck in the middle of looking at something, and now feel like you ruined me there.
Do Chad. I need to dance and fall?
Did you do that on purpose?
I saw you not paying attention. I wanted to just throw you under the bus.
You did do it on purpose. I knew it. I was looking for something, and now I'm totally lost. I don't even know what I was looking for. I don't even remember what you were talking about. Where are we at?
Asking
the
who, not how.
Instead of asking how, we're going to ask who. Yeah. Every time.
It builds trust, right? We're going to build trust with our people because we're asking who, not how. That doesn't mean I'm looking to replace Bob every time that I'm asking Bob, well, who do we know that knows how to do this? Bob might refer to someone else on the team and say, oh, I should talk to Josiah, or I should go talk to Dave about this, or let me give Chad a call. Maybe he got a good answer to it from the outright. It allows us to get from effort to being efficient, right? That's what we talked about just last week, going from busy to purposeful, right? If we can give and ask those questions, we're able to focus on the right stuff again.
I know what I was thinking, and
I know I saw the light bulb go on.
Who already knows how to do this, or who's great at this? I mean, we have a name for that. We call it R&D. We're just like whenever we try to do anything, really, we never start from scratch. We're always like,
no,
who knows how to do this? And nowadays, you know, we've gotten to the point where when we're going to look to do something, we can, I'll give you a great example. So we own in our world a couple of data companies, and we have lots of data, Chad. It's freaking data coming out of our ears, but we're not really good at managing it, at being able to access it to solve problems, right? Like, but we got it. And so what did Ben do? He didn't say, how do we get better at managing this data and turn it into actionable data that we can, learn something from and take action on? What he did was say, who has taken large sets of data in the past and turned it into actionable? And so we went out to one of the largest data companies in the world, and I won't say their name, but if I said it, well, most of our listeners would probably know, but I don't know the general population does. And we found, targeted, and ultimately hired like their main data architect. Why? Because he'd done it before. He knew what he was doing. He was somebody that could solve the problem we had, right? And it didn't start with us looking around and going, who here, or how are we going to figure this out here? We were like, who is going to figure this out? Can anybody here figure this out? And everybody was like, nope. And we were like, okay, then who do we need to find?
And that's a great example of it, Bob. And it's okay if we start with the how question. That just shows we're all the way to one side of this mindset shift that we've been taking you through in these series, where it's that going from control to collaborate, right? If we're starting with the how, we're all the way on the control side of it. I don't care if it's a group of 4 people that are all getting together and saying, well, how do we do this? That's control. And as soon as we can change that to the who questions, who do we need to add to this team? Who do we need to go talk to? Who do we need to observe, copy, rip off, and duplicate, right? Now we're working our way towards that collaboration side. The challenge with it, Bob, is everybody thinks they lose control, which means they lose identity of the company they've built, the organization they've started, whatever it is. And letting go and collaborating instead of controlling doesn't mean you disappear. It means you get to truly move into that leadership role or step up into the next opportunity that only you are the who for within your company.
Yep. Love it.
Okay. Bob, here's what I want our audience to do. I want you to create your board of who's. Right? Imagine going to, what do they call it? I think it's Whoville, right? Isn't that where the Grinch's heart grows 3 sizes, right?
Totally.
Okay. Who lives in Whoville for you? And don't say Cindy Lou Who. That's not where we're going with this, right? Do you have coaches that live in your Whoville? Do you have mentors, teammates, vendors, contractors, connectors, other people and other services that might live in this Whoville of yours? So you always know, I can just go knock on that door. I can just pick up the phone and call this person. We can all get together and have a party and sing and dance like the Who people do, right? And now I've got my group of who I need to have around me. I challenge everybody here to create their board of who. 5 people on your board of who. Who do you ask when you have questions about what's going on at home? Who do you ask when you have health challenges? Who do you go to when your business has hit a roadblock? Who do you go to? Whatever the categories are you need, get a who in each one of those to be a leader, a mentor, and a collaborator with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Bob is being that who to his son. I'll do it for him as his son's learning basketball and getting better and better and better. Bob is the who right now. Yet here's the thing. Bob, how old is he now? 8?
Uh-huh.
Okay. By the time he turns, let's say 13, 14, getting ready for high school, whatever time that starts now, 15, 16, there's a reasonable chance he's outperformed you.
Oh, yeah. He's 8, and it might be by 9, by the way. But anyway, yeah.
At that point, folks, all that needs to happen is the who question needs to be asked again. Right? Now, maybe Bob's a better coach at it than he is performer himself. Maybe Bob's who level goes high enough to be that person. We have seen successful coaches in all sports that were way better as a coach than they were as a player, right? We have seen that happen. Yet otherwise, when we catch up to our who's, It's just finding out who is the next two up there so that we're getting to those situations.
I mean, so you've been kind of the last 5 or 6 episodes kind of giving me a hard time about always finding a way to work my boys in. And so we were 28 and a half minutes in. I hadn't done it yet. And you spoiled it. This was going to be my one episode I could look back to and be like, yeah, but what about on season 4, episode 85? Like, I didn't say nothing that day. And you ruined it. So thanks a lot.
Well, Bob, we all would have been sad because we want to know what's going on in the life of the boys. Folks, look, we want you to answer some of these questions to yourself. Okay. What are you still doing that's holding back your growth and your organization? Answer that, right? Where could you trade your effort for your expertise this week? Right? Instead of you doing it, where can you trade it and become the expert at it to help someone else do it? And who's already doing what you want to do? And how can you learn from them? Or even better, how can you learn with them to get where you're going, Bob? Okay. If you want to grow, you have to let go.
Ooh.
The only way growth is going to happen, folks, you have to let go, turn those hows into who's.
I guarantee, like, as you're saying that, somebody in their car right now is like, it's just making their skin crawl. They're like, let go. I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it. Listen to this episode again. Just listen again.
There you go. Leverage the episode one more time. Hit restart if that's a button. I don't know. Is there a restart? Otherwise, you just got to drag the little line all the way back to the beginning. Share it with somebody who you want to put on that board of who, or share it with somebody who you want to leverage too, so they hear the exact same message. And Bob, we're going to continue the series. Next, we're talking the discipline shift, which is going from the outcome to the process. Almost backwards of what everybody thinks it should be, going from the outcome to the process. That'll be on the discipline shift. Make sure, folks, you don't miss that opportunity to continue our mindset shift series that'll help you scale. Until we get to that next one, as always, do good.